Hi everyone, Steve Wiss here, joined by Kevin Harper for the latest All Sports Betting Pod. Grand Slam of Darts previews, and not a bad day on Tuesday. Kev should have been 3 out of 3 really, but Robbie Green bollocksed around on doubles again to deny that. But you'll take a bit of profit moving into the longer legs.
Yeah, always nice to clean up a little bit of cash before the group stage finishes. Not the greatest group stage for me, but rescued it somewhat on Tuesday night. But the tournament starts now, and hopefully we can continue to coin it in. I'm glad that Jamie Hughes finally delivered for me. I've been singing his praises all week, and finally I read a game of his correctly, and the price that he was kind of makes up for a disappointing group stage, really.
Yeah, it was good to see him finally deliver the goods, and it wasn't a bad night for those who had nothing to play for as such. Maybe the lack of pressure helped them, but we're into the last 16 now, and we start with Mensur Suljovic against Barry Van Peer, and how on earth has Van Peer made it this far? It's quite remarkable, really. He's fought off dietitis, everything else. And I don't think many people expect him to get past Suljovic, hence why Suljovic is a 1.06 favourite here. I mean, can you see beyond him?
Not over this distance, I can't, no. I don't think it'll necessarily be as one-sided as those odds would suggest. I think the handicap's 6.5 legs, isn't it? And something deep down's telling me Van Peer will cover that, but you need to be brain dead to go anywhere near this game. Obviously, Van Peer's not out of the woods with regards to his dietitis. He started off really, really well against Menzies the other night, didn't he? But then when the pressure grew, particularly at the end of legs, the longer the match went, and the more significant the legs were, he really, really struggled. In fact, they both struggled. He didn't bring Menzies down to his level because he wasn't intending to bring him down to his level, but that's what happened. They both collapsed in a heap, and kind of nothing happened. And it might be interesting to see how Suljovic copes with this, because he's had the problem himself. So we all know exactly what Van Peer's going through, and it might be that Suljović's focus isn't as strong as perhaps it should be. On the flip side of that, he might think the best thing he can do is just stay focused on the dartboard and beat him as quickly as he can do. Time will tell. But if Van Peer plays like he did at the start of that game against Menzies, and it's not until the sort of latter stages of the match, if indeed it gets to the latter stages, that his problems come back, then he's certainly throwing well enough to challenge Suljovic. Now, whether he covers this handicap or not, I'm not sure, but something tells me in the early year stages, whilst the pressure's generally free, that first dart will go in. And more often than not in this tournament, when that first dart's gone in, he's scored pretty well. His problems have been at the end of legs when he just cannot release a dart for a double. And it'll be interesting to see how he goes. You can't bet on the game. You're guessing. You're absolutely guessing. Obviously, your natural instinct is to back Suljovic -6.5, but let's not forget everyone was talking up Menzies -2.5 the other night, and he never got close. So I couldn't bet on the game.
This has the.
I should just add. I hope it doesn't descend into as difficult a watch as that Van Peer Menzies match became the other night. Neither player really needs that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was just going to say, that it has the potential to be a long game, doesn't it? This, no matter what the scoreline. I mean, as far as the rest of the night goes, I mean, looks like we could get some possibly close games. We could be well into the early hours at this rate if Van Peer can't release the dart.
Yeah, I mean, we will be if Sky keep on talking nonsense in between each game as well, and I'm sure they'll have all the analysis of what Van Peer can and can't do, and all of that bollocks after the game, win, lose or draw. And then of course we've got this Taylor documentary, which nobody cares about, and the build up to the World Championship. So yeah, we could well be Friday morning before we finish.
Yeah, the second match on, Glenn Durrant against Dave Chisnell, and if both of these two have got any sense, they'll just be focusing on their own game in the practice room, you would think. Glenn Durrant flying the flag for the BDO, and he's the favourite here with the bookmakers, 1.75 against a Dave Chisnell who hasn't really fired this week. I think he's rather limped into the last 16. We did highlight that in the outright podcast that it might not be the best of week for Dave Chisnell for a few reasons. But do you think Durrant is a fair price here? Should he be shorter?
Probably not. I think the price is around fair. Apart from the issues with Berry Vampire, the first thing that everybody who bets on this tournament from now on in needs to do is forget the first 4 days of it. Completely and utterly different tournament now. The standard will increase dramatically. The players will be much more comfortable in the format that they're playing in, and the darts will be of the highest quality, perhaps aside from that Vampire match, but that will be nothing to do with the format or anything else. Long course darts always brings out the best darts. Players can relax early doors, they can get into a rhythm, and then they can make sure that, you know, by the time the pressurized times come, that they're kind of not relaxed, but they're ready for it. Whereas in a best of 9, there is no relaxation. You've got to do everything right from the start, and, you know, one mistake is amplified. Whereas over 19 legs, the best player will win the match. I think this will be a really close game. I don't see either of them running away with it. I think they're both really, really good scorers. They're both really, really good darts players. I think the difference will be, I would trust Durrant more on doubles, only marginally so, and it could well go down to a deciding leg this, just like Durrant has done in the past with big players. He doesn't fear PDC players now. Obviously, the way he took care of Wright in the group stage, the darts that he threw were of real quality, and if he's performing like that, and I expect him to, I really don't think the Cadbury defeat's going to have any bearing on Durrant whatsoever in this game. If he plays to his best, Durrant can certainly come through this, but there's absolutely no way I see this one being won any easier than 10-7 either way. They're both just too good at defending their throw.
Yeah, and that's why you like over 16.5 legs, don't you? At certainly more of an acceptable price.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 2 breaks of throw unanswered either way to get this line covered, to get this line to lose, sorry. I just don't see it. You know, there will be breaks of throw, of course there will, but they'll break each other and then they'll break back again, and, you know, maybe one will have a 2 or 3 leg purple patch and then the other one will have another one, but they're really consistent scorers, these two. So I just cannot see one pulling away from it unless there's an absolute colossal nightmare on doubles, and I just don't think there will be.
Yeah, all set for a close game there. Next one on, Gary Anderson against Michael Smith. Who knows, maybe this could be a close one too, even though Gary Anderson's a 1-3 favourite. And I mean, what a match in terms of style this is. It should be fast-paced, 2 attacking players, and arguably the most, well, exciting match of the night to look forward to in that regard.
And a cracking dynamic with the manager taking on the apprentice. Gary Anderson has been Michael Smith's manager for an awful long time, ever since Michael Smith came onto the scene. And now Michael Smith gets a chance to show him who's boss, I guess. Both men played really, really well in the group stage. I still think Smith was really unlucky not to win his group. I'm still adamant that had he had the throw in that 9th leg against Sulovic, he'd have won the group. And to be fair to him, the way that he handled McGeeney's comeback against him, knowing that he needed to win to give himself the best chance of progressing, kind of showed a maturity that's not always been there with Smith. Now comes the big problem. I mentioned it earlier in the podcast that we did, that over the 9-leg distance you can rely upon him, but over the 19-leg distance he sometimes struggles to keep his focus and his form. Well, he's going to have to do that in this game because Gary Anderson won't be letting up anytime soon, that is for sure. He's oozed class in this tournament, both as a darts player and the darts that he's thrown. The darts he's thrown have been of the highest quality, and of course the compassion and class that and dignity that he showed. Berry Vampire was great to see on Sunday. It'll be interesting to see how these two get on. I would imagine they'll get on really, really well. But Anderson, he doesn't normally crack for anyone. He hasn't cracked for friends in the past, and I don't expect him to do that here. So Smith needs to keep his game head on. And if he does, he's got the scoring power to keep this close. He's going to have to take every chance he gets, that is for sure. And maybe that leg-on-leg pressure of having to hit doubles will catch him out eventually. So I expect Anderson to go through, but I expect a barrel load of 180s. They've both ploughed in 180s in this tournament so far. In group stages, which aren't necessarily known for 180s, Anderson's hit 12. Smith's hit 11. They both hit 5 in the matches on a couple of occasions. Well, if we get 5 here, we'll need 1 more to cover the 10.5 line. The way these two score 180s, we really probably only need 15 legs to get it covered. I think Smith will keep it that close, maybe even a couple of legs closer. And that should be more than enough to get 11 180s that suddenly have really been starting to flow this last couple of nights.
Yeah, it really should be a feast of maximums in this sort of game. Both just, well, they pummel that 60 all day long, don't they? So, yeah, over 10.5 180s for Gary Anderson against Michael Smith. We round the evening off. Well, I say evening, it might be the morning by the time they get started. But Stephen Bunting against Peter Wright. Now, we mentioned on these podcasts that Bunting just needed a few wins under his belt to maybe get a bit of confidence going. Has that happened now, do you think? And is he going to be more relaxed now he's in this last 16 phase?
It's happened. And I think he'll play. I do think he'll play well here. I have a funny feeling he's actually going to knock Wright out in this match. Don't know why I've got that feeling, but I just have. He's a really, really good player, Stephen Bunting. The only problem is, in terms of recent opponent, he's probably picked the worst one he possibly could do because he's lost 10 of the last 11 matches to Peter Wright, which is not good. And he hasn't really got close in an awful lot of those games. However, their last meeting, he should have dumped Peter Wright out of the World Grand Prix in the first round. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I know that Peter Wright had to win a deciding leg to get rid of him. And that in itself probably was the catalyst for Bunting's improved form. I would imagine, given the way that these two score, and Bunting has been scoring really, really well of late, this is going to come down to the finishing. And again, much with the last game, that leg-on-leg pressure could tell for Bunting. But if he can start pinging doubles and get right under pressure, you only have to look at that game against Norris in the group stage. And okay, I said to forget the group stage, but there is a similar dynamic in that Wright was a heavy favourite to win the game, just like he is here. And if you're under pressure to keep on hitting doubles, you can crack. And I've always thought this right away since May, when Wright missed all of those darts to win the Premier League against Van Gerwen. I've always thought under a serious pressure double, he's not as reliable as he was prior to that night. And, you know, there's definitely a scar. He's never been the same player since then, as good as he is and remains to be. He hasn't been that real top class player. There's just something just off the top of his game, and I have a funny feeling a freer Bunting could exploit that here. If there is a shock on the night, this will be it. But I think it'll be a close game, which is another reason why I fancy Bunting, particularly if that pressure double comes along. And again, over 16.5 legs just looks an obvious bet, really, despite their recent head-to-head.
Yeah, hopefully this will be a close one, over 16.5 legs. Another bet for you here. But Peter Wright, despite a little bit of, well, criticism there, you think he's good for over 118.5 high checkout for this game?
Yeah, I think he's actually better on combination finishes right now than he is on doubles, particularly when he's got time to think about doubles. He's a really reliable combination finisher, actually. In that game against Norris, we saw him take out the big dog 170. Shelling peas, that looked like. But this line in particular, I mean, it's a really, really brave line from bookmakers. Anytime you give a professional darts player the 1-2-1 on the punter's side, you are asking for trouble, because that 1-2-1 is left an awful lot of times in legs. It's only 140 ton, and that in professional darts these days is not asking an awful lot, or 180 ton if you want that way. You'll be surprised the amount of times 1-2-1's hit. Now, as long as his opponent has kept up with him, he'll obviously go treble 20 or 20, treble 17 or 11, and then the bullseye. So I would imagine we're going to get two if not three goes of the bullseye here, or the double 14 if he hits treble 11. And, you know, 5 to 6 is good odds on him hitting it. You know, of course he's even money to hit it or miss it, but he hits it an awful lot more than he doesn't. And I just think they're taking a risk by offering anything lower than 120. I mean, even were he to leave 120, you'd back him to nail a Shanghai more often than he wouldn't. But that 1-2-1 really does dangle a carrot. That's a that's a simple is probably the wrong word. Comfortable finish for a professional these days. And if he leaves it, I certainly think he'll threaten it. And I'd be surprised if he doesn't take it out. Whatever it is over 118, I fancy he'll take a big finish out along the course of this match. He does tend to do that. He can kill someone with a big finish and drain their confidence, just like he did with Norris in that last game.
It's a nice finish, 1-2-1 for an amateur, let alone a pro, isn't it? I mean, even I've nailed a 1-2-1 a few times in my life, and you watch, he'll probably come in with a 1-1-9 finish now, won't he?
That'll do.
Take any day of the week. So yeah, the picks for Grand Slam of Darts Day 5. Glenn Durrant, Dave Chisnell over 16.5 legs. Exactly the same bet in the Stephen Bunting Peter Wright fixture, along with Peter Wright high checkout over 118.5, and Gary Anderson against Michael Smith over 10.5 180s. So best of luck with all those picks, Kev, and we'll be back for more on day 6.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, Steve. Hopefully we'll have a decent night, and we will be back for Thursday, where there are 2 very juicy matches to preview.
Absolutely. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you around. Goodbye.